good evening everyone. So I've been given to talk about how to please editors and peer reviewers of a medical journal. So that's basically a sum total of what has already been told and discussed over the thing. But what we are trying to address through this is mainly how to reply to editorial comments and peer review comments and a few aspects which we have already discussed before. So before we go on to the main talk, so I'd just like to introduce our journal. It's just 4 years old and is the official journal of the Academy of Family Physicians of India. And within 2 years of its starting, we have gone into PubMed. And till December this year, we had followed a platinum open access model, which is neither the authors nor the subscribers or readers have to pay for it. But now we have shifted to a more open access model from this January. But since we are a non-profit and we are an academy, we have a handsome waiver system for early career researchers. So people are requested to apply for it, and we will definitely consider it. So this is the week of love, and if you want to please someone, but whether you decide to give a chocolate or a rose or a teddy, so how do you do that? So you have to gather some baseline information, and the best way to do it for a journal so that you can please the editors first is one from you. So this is the most important tip, that you have to read the instruction to author and probably read some articles also in the that has been published, so that you can draft your article accordingly. So just a brief on how manuscript reviews are done. So we have a manuscript is submitted to a journal. Basically, its appropriateness and conformation to the guidelines are checked first. So if you are not doing within the scope of the journal, or you are not conforming to the guidelines, you definitely score a negative point over here. It's important to draft as the previous authors, speakers have already told. And then it goes for marked review, which in our journal is mostly for 2 peer reviewers, sometimes 3 or 4 also. And after this, you get a decision. This is our later trying to say in summary that this is why I think that it should be published in your journal. Follow the journal style, and good grammar with clear and concise writing is very important. So as Professor Zogde has already told, that the abstract is the most important thing, and it makes or breaks the first pass, and also it might be the only thing that an editor reads. So it's important to consider that. So just about the various pickup lines you can use, it should be short, specific, concise and relevant. These are some bad pickup lines to avoid. So we have just listed it, and I think that these are a major turn off in case of editors who read it. So try to think and avoid these pickup lines as much as possible. So athletics for abstract, this has already been covered, but the last point I would just like to say that it's always important to understand that an abstract can be read independently from the main text of the article. So when you have written an abstract, give it to a colleague who does not know about the research and ask him that what to interpret from this. So if he tells you the same thing and gets the gist, so probably you have done the abstract right, otherwise you need to rework on it. So guidance for writing research papers. So at our journal we try to enforce the various reporting guidelines that are there. Of course we have not been able to do it, but with increasing authors being more and more informed, we hope we will be able to do it. So this is a very good resource, equatornetwork.org/reporting guidelines. So if you see that we put a study type, clinical area and section of report, you get the guidelines there and there also. So this is I feel is a very important thing for early career researchers to work on, because the guidelines, reporting guidelines are basically designed so that it pleases authors, pleases editors and peer reviewers. So there are various study designs which follow various reporting guidelines. So this is just a list of it that we follow in our journal. So so once the peer review process is over, so these are the outcomes you can probably have. So before we go into this, what are the top 10 avoidable reasons manuscripts were rejected in our journal? Wrong journal format tradition. Number 2, disorganized study design. So it's quite unexpected that most manuscripts do have a wrong study design mentioned, and sometimes they mix up study designs like retrospective cross-sectional studies or something like that. It is a major turn off and it is a sure sign of outright rejection. Deceptive tables and figures, and sometimes the numbers in tables and figures not tallying with what is being reported in the main text or sometimes even in the abstract. This is usually a copy editing error, but you need to be thorough and ensure that it's always there. Poor organization through writing and spelling. As editors of an Indian journal, we understand that it's not a native language, but it's also important to understand that we are here to communicate our findings, and so poor organization is not welcome at all. So there's a problem statement, or should be there. So if you don't have a hypothesis, neither you have a problem statement in your article, it's highly likely that it might get rejected. So insufficient conclusion. So we often get articles which are otherwise methodologically very good and have robust results, but the conclusions which are drawn is not at all related with the results of the article. It's something generic, like tobacco is bad for us and we need to do more research on this. This is not welcome. We have to draw a conclusion which is relevant to what results we are presenting. Sometimes sometimes authors overinterpret results, so that is one of the major reasons. So this is another one reason. It's unfocused, too verbose and long. So the point I'm trying to make over here is that this is a scientific writing, and all scientists, academicians, clinicians, or whoever is going to read it are pressed for time. So you need to be focused and specific and need to mention only things which you think is relevant. So the hand rule I follow when I write manuscript is like, if I have doubts that is it the thing or relevant to what I am writing, if I have doubts, it's probably not relevant enough. So inappropriate statistical methods are a major problem in Indian manuscripts, particularly with these. It's probably due to we don't have a capacity on epidemiologists or statisticians. But please try to make best use of it, try to collaborate with people and get it checked in terms of methodology. And obviously poorly written abstracts and titles is another major cause. So dealing with rejection first. So it's remember that it's nothing personal, as Dr. Singh has already told, but see the comments in an objective light. So if there are methodological concerns, talk with a methodologist and see it can be salvaged. For most articles which we reject, I think that it can be salvaged if the methodological concerns are done. If it is also sometimes wise to look for articles we have cited and read them thoroughly to see that what are the exact methodological points we have missed. And sometimes people miss landmark articles or very recent articles which have changed the concept of things on which the research study was designed. So it's probably better to search PubMed again and do internal peer review with colleagues, give it to a department, talk it over, and I think that if we have a robust system of internal peer review, rejections will come down a lot. So it's important to remember that like complex social rituals on dating, peer review is unpredictable too. It sometimes may get published in a better journal. So an outright rejection is not a very bad thing either. So take it in a positive light, read objectively and assess the comments. So this is probably the very rare occurrence that you get an article with minor revisions. Don't bask in reflected glory. In case I am correct, just try to do the revision very fast, locally within 2 to 3 days, because it stays on the editor's mind and probably it will have a quick turnover. So major revisions. This is the most common response you will get. The most common outcome you get, where you have 2 or 3 reviewers giving 5 or 6 comments each, and there is this might be quite intimidating for early career researchers when they are trying to write. So stop thinking about the outcomes, that what will happen if I can't publish this? Will I not get promoted? Stop thinking about the outcomes and take it as a part of the learning process. The same point we published as already mentioned. So in this case, go slow, take your time and answer. And like in dates, editors who love honesty, so put out the limitations of the study, and as researchers we understand that all of us are bound by limitations of resources, and so it's important to be honest about the thing and not try to hide things or try to do things. So this is the 3 golden rules which one has to follow while replying back to the peer review comments. Number 1, respond completely. So we often get authors who think they are very cunning, and they drop, when they are responding back, they drop 2 or 3 comments from the reviewer thinking that we might not notice. It's probably because they feel that it's not important enough to revise or answer them, or it's too small a concern. But as editors, it's a major turn-off for us, and it simply means that you are increasing your chances of rejection. So it's better that when you get a response, to try to make up a Word file with 3 columns, column 1 having the reviewer number, then having the response you want to give in the column 2, and column 3 having the thread in the manuscript should be find the changes were done. So this makes the job of reviewers and editors pretty easy, and this is a score. This is a positive point you can score. So, and even if there are positive compliments from the peer reviewers, draft a response that we thank the referee for the comments. It shows positively on your part that you have taken things in a positive sense. So this is the second golden rule: answer politely. So remember that reviewers and almost in all the cases editors are doing the work for free, and they have their day jobs. So it only means that they are all trying to help you to get published. So be there and try to take comments positively. In case you are disagreeing, be polite. And if you have doubts, ask your friends to read it to see if the reply is proper. So some useful phrases, this is from a paper which came out in the Journal of American Academy of Dermatology. So we agree with the referee that, but, yet. So this is the kind of phrases you should use when you are disagreeing with the peer review comments, but try to be polite in this sense. But this article is available in open access, so you don't need to jot them out. So you can just search it over internet and get it. So the third golden rule is answer with evidence. So you are here to offer science, cite references. The more, the better. So and often is peer review responses are based on tricky questions of science, and so if you are saying something, it's often better to cite systematic reviews and meta-analysis rather than commentaries or editorials in support of your statement. So try to search more and try to answer with evidence always, and not with what appears to be common sense. So sometimes situations are a bit more tricky, and we get conflicting signals. So it's basically reviewers disagreeing on certain points, and this is quite a common scenario. But this is not at all a tricky scenario. You can actually have the option to choose. But remember to not choose what is most convenient for you, but choose what is right. Because here you have the editors who are the gatekeepers who are overseeing the entire process, and they might overdo. So it's better to see things in positive light here also. So outright acceptance. So this is not a live happily ever after thing, and there's a lot to do, I feel, even after articles get accepted and published. So because it's not an end of journey, you need to put your work toward to the larger community. So we know that we are here for professional recognition, and you have to, it's better, I recommend using the new media to popularize your work, like the Facebook, LinkedIn. Twitter is a good place to popularize your work and even showcase it to international groups or people working in similar domain. And probably blog about it too. And most importantly, your next work should be built upon on the current one. So this is how your science grows. So I would just like to stress on one point over here, that we often do projects and forget about it. If you want to grow as a researcher, your next work should always be built on what you have done previously, and you go slowly into a domain of research for which people know you. And people recognize that, okay, he is an expert in this narrow domain. So this is how we should go on from there. I think that's all for me. And we have planned, so Dr. Silman, he has planned to show you a live demonstration of how the journal submissions work, but sadly the internet over there is not working. So what we will do now is we will just take questions from all of you if you have any. Professor, please. Does anybody have any questions?
Usually when you mention the experience in the journal, giving options to authors, submission, one as an open access, and the second one where you probably have to one in the Any experiences of what are the rejection rates and acceptance rates? Do they differ by submission criteria? Also, what the peer review process is supposed to be ahead?
I don't think it's really live. Yeah. It's a very valid question, and maybe I should be really clear then. It's an option for the author when they submit their paper, and the reason that we offer that option is that the journal which I'm editor, we are a traditional journal, so we're not an open access journal. Open access journals charge authors, for people who don't know the difference, charge authors to publish. And traditional journals don't charge authors, they charge people to read the journal. So when a paper is submitted, as far as its progress through the process of editorial review and peer review, they're treated exactly the same. So, for instance, I as an editor and the peer reviewers would have no idea that the paper has been submitted as an open access paper or as a traditional paper. So I think statistically, to be honest, I haven't looked, but I'd be amazed if there were anything significant in the difference between the two types of papers. Nobody in the process knows which type of paper they are. We simply made it available to open access because of the requirements of some research funders to publish open access articles. So we made it available. It's not that much used today, but it makes no difference at all to the process or the progress of the paper through the whole route to application.
Any more questions? If you have any specific questions or
presentation, it's really very much helpful. I was searching for these keynotes, and I think now this will be very grateful for me to write my abstracts. my question is, if my abstract got acceptance from more than one journal at the same time, am I allowed to publish my abstract in more than one journal? If because as you say that abstract is the main thing used more than my paper. Abstract, I used to send my abstract to different journals for acceptance, and I got acceptance from more than one journal. So I have this question. So what to do?
Globally now would suggest, and there were people nodding and shaking their heads around the room,